Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Revenue Diaries. Just giving you a little bit of a preamble to my conversation with Mark. This show, like every show for the Revenue Diaries, is brought to you by Share Your Genius. If you have ever been thinking about any type of podcast production, doing your own thing, co-hosting it with somebody, you're a company that wants to do a podcast, you should check out Share Your Genius. Great group of people, brilliant human beings, and I'm very lucky that they're helping me with this podcast. My conversation with Mark's a friend. We meet every week. We've talked for years, and it was a great conversation about everything from his discovery of having ADHD to where that led to the importance of therapy, to hockey, and even one of his really good friends committing suicide right after high school. It is an amazing conversation, and I just hope that anyone listening gets something out of it. So thank you for listening, and here's the next episode of Revenue Diaries. So Mark, why don't you give like a high-level overview intro, tell people who you are.
Yeah, before I get into that, I'm just pumped for you to ask me questions because usually it's me grilling you with questions every single week. So
this is going to be exciting.
Yeah, the tables have definitely turned here. So yeah, no, I'm excited to be here. I'm a VP marketing at UserEvidence, done different stints in marketing roles and B2B marketing for the last 10-ish years now. And I always like to joke that if you judge a LinkedIn book by its cover, you'd see that I've done a bunch of random B2B marketing stints in different roles, and you think that he doesn't really know what he wants to do. And I would tell you that that's not true because it's allowed me to just see and do the work in a lot of different roles and see how it all fits together.
Well, and so you know, because you've listened and we've talked about it, that we talk about everything other than work here. And I am not going to say this is related to your LinkedIn profile, but my first question is, in multiple interviews, you've discussed ADHD as both, which is actually something I don't think I knew.
Yeah.
For research, I found this out. I don't think I knew this, but you talk about it as both a superpower and a challenge.
Yep.
You talk about like how the experience has shaped your perspective of life for work and even outside of work.
Yep. Yeah. So I think for me, it's something that wasn't like formally diagnosed until I think I was in my college years. And when I went to the doctor and got diagnosed with it, suddenly everything started to make a little bit more sense for my mom and myself. And I think some of the things.
Wait, what made you go, like actually go to the doctor to get tested?
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
Yeah. I'll make sure my mom listens to this and we'll do a fact check like they do on Armchair Experts.
What's your mom saying?
I really think it was when standardized tests started to come into play, and I was struggling in that kind of part of high school, and that's basically when it came about. So I think from that point forward, really up until I would say 2020-ish, it kind of felt like there was this, I don't want to say stigma, but just you kind of had to hide the fact that you had ADHD, and it wasn't really talked about in the workplace, so I never told anyone about it. And I think for me, it just took a while for me to get more comfortable in my own skin and realize that it's a part of who I am and what makes me me and what makes me special in a lot of ways, but also difficult to work with in a lot of ways. And I think career-wise, it was such a game changer for me when I just got more open about it with the people that I work with, because oftentimes, like when I'm super locked in and in the zone, it can come across as being cold or not wanting to be interrupted, or just like the look on my face might signal to somebody a completely different emotion that is not something that I'm feeling right now or want them to feel. And just by being more open about it with people that I work with and on my team, it's just been so much better ever since I've been open about it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, if this is not how you approached it, but did you feel like you couldn't tell people? And if that's the case, why initially?
Yeah, I think I never heard anyone be open about it, truthfully, in the jobs that I had.
You think there was negative stigma around it at the time?
Yeah, maybe not. Stigma might be too like loaded of a word to describe it, but like it was more so I didn't know how others would receive it. I didn't know if they would look at it as a positive or as a negative. And I was more worried about what they might think or feel when I shared the news with them. And I think for me, there was a time where I forget which boss it was, but we did, you've probably seen those. They're like the how to work with me cards or slides. It was in that exercise for the first time where one of the things that was listed, I was like, this is the perfect opportunity to finally be open about this for once. And ever since then, I've been open about it with everybody that I've worked with or hired.
What about your personal relationships? Like, were you more open in your personal relationships than you were like the work?
Yeah. And I don't know why. Yeah.
So I'm fascinated with this because how did it affect your daily routine? Did it change anything once you were officially diagnosed, or at least you then understood why certain things happened?
The latter.
Okay.
Yeah, the latter. And I think a lot of stuff that I do and my routine, like having a routine is everything for people that have ADHD. Like they like doing like things consistently and having structure and order and being creatures of habit. And once I learned that, it's like, whoa, this makes so much more sense. Like I try to do the same morning routine every single morning to get me off on the right foot and just feel like I'm focused for the day. And yeah, it's interesting.
I can guarantee you I do not have it. Maybe I need more of this idea that you need routine and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm going to transition to the next question, but I think that it applies. You know, you and I have talked about hockey quite a bit. I think you still play, don't you?
I do.
Okay.
I do on Thursday mornings at 6:30, which is a part of my weekly routine before I start up on the workday. But yeah.
What happens if you don't get to do that? Like it's canceled or not enough people show up or whatever. Like how does that affect you if you can't do it?
No one has ever asked me that question, which is a great question. I would say, I think maybe I'm like, I don't have that kind of win for, you know, the morning or that win for, hey, I accomplished this. And it kind of gives me a little bit more fulfillment, I think. And then realizing like, hey, I've done, you know, the 2 or 3 things that I need to do every morning that I'm then ready to do the next thing.
Does it throw you off?
A little bit. Not like in a noticeable way, but I then just feel like, well, I haven't done those things. Now I'm a little, you know, less.
Then why do anything?
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything today.
Well, no, I definitely can't do that, but yes.
You and me both. Okay. So you and I have talked about hockey and you've mentioned before how it has given you, or I guess taught you grit, which I can understand from the outside looking in just by watching people play hockey. But tell me more about the experience that you had playing it and what it taught you.
Yeah, I love this question. Something I'm super passionate about. So like many things in life, especially when you're a kid, you don't realize a lot of these things or lessons until long after the fact. And I think in the moment, I grew up just outside of Chicago in Park Ridge. And at that time, hockey was not really a big popular sport. And with the rise of the Blackhawks and the run that they went on, you know, 10, 15 years ago, it's more popular now. But the reason why I bring it up is I didn't have a lot of my school friends playing hockey with me. And I had to be gone a lot for hockey practice and traveling out of state and doing all of these things. And I think at a very young age, it teaches you time management and like, you needed to get your homework done before you then had to hop in the car and drive, 90 minutes to go to some crazy far ice rink to then play a game and then come back and then wake up in the morning and not let that affect you. I think working with teams specifically, and I was a captain on a lot of the teams that I played on growing up, I'm a very team-oriented person, and I think it teaches you how to work with others really well at a very young age. And then, like you mentioned, grit. Everybody thinks that they're going to be playing in the NHL someday. I know I did. And look where we are now. I'm on a podcast with you talking about life and marketing stuff. So clearly I'm not there. But I think, just the ups and downs of any competitive sport that you play and learning that you're not going to win every single time and still being able to bounce back from those, lessons that you learned. It's something that I take for granted. And what's funny is if you talk with other hockey players, and I've done this by way of interviewing candidates here at UserEvidence and previous roles, we have this weird spidey sense where you can just pick up really within minutes of whether or not they're a hockey person. And
Are you serious?
dead serious. And my spidey sense is almost 100% accurate. Yeah.
Are you serious? That's hilarious. What is it? Do you know why?
I think it's definitely a little vocabulary at times. I mean, the extreme is like hockey lingo, and there's movies and TV shows about it. So you don't really see that show up a lot. But I think the way that people kind of carry themselves, some of those qualities that I described,
Really?
you see come up.
What are some words? Like, let's teach the listeners.
Oh my God.
Spotting a hockey fanatic 101.
The first one that comes to mind is a little more generic that spans hockey and I think lacrosse as well, but flow for hair, if you've heard of that before. Or lettuce is used to describe hair.
Wait.
Some extreme
Well, you're talking to the wrong person about that, but what is that even pertaining to? Like, you have good hair?
Yes, basically.
But how is that related to hockey? You have a helmet on.
Yeah, but the way that your hair comes out of the back of the helmet is kind of a look, if you will.
I see.
Look at me teaching you stuff for once. Yeah.
I know. This is amazing. So flow, does baseball and football have, do they also talk about flow?
They might. Now I'm going to have to Urban Dictionary this after we get off here. But I think what were some other hockey terms that might show up in the workplace?
Puck.
Yeah. I mean, like using analogies and just the skate to where the puck is.
That's hilarious, though. That is hilarious. Using the...
I'll find the snippet of you and send it to you before we talk later this week. I was doing a customer interview at UserEvidence, and I stopped the guy like mid-interview, and I said, hey, did you play hockey or did you grow up playing hockey? He was like, yeah. And it was hilarious.
That's hilarious. Well, okay, so... I imagine hockey as it's a very aggressive sport. And I'm picturing what I currently experience as with my kids being in soccer and basketball and other sports, where some parents are a little intense. I'm imagining that hockey parents are like one step above, if not one step above football parents, like crazy.
I would say,
so have you seen like fist fights?
Oh, I can't believe
between parents
here. I'm going to blow your mind. So hockey parents are like way up here. And then I would say football parents would maybe be the second, and they're down here. And then
like lacrosse.
Yeah. USA Hockey is the governing body of youth hockey in the country. And when I was probably 10 or 12 years old, they had to do a big marketing campaign where they were marketing to the parents in ice rinks with posters and other signage and whatnot to basically tell them to like chill out. All of your kids are not going to the NHL, so don't act like it. But I can't tell you how many times that the police were called to ice rinks. There was a game when I was younger where one of the dads was really upset with a call that the referee made, so he threw a garbage can onto the ice. Like anything that you can think of, like hockey parents probably have done it before.
I don't get it. I just don't get it. But I also don't get a lot of things, so I guess that's okay. Okay, so speaking of what these hockey parents need is therapy. So going on to the next question, most of them probably need it. You and I both do it, and I'm actually going to mine in about 3 hours. How has your therapy journey influenced like your friendships, your personal relationships? Like talk me through how you think about therapy in your personal life.
Yep. Yeah, so I was at a point this would have been April of 2021, so 4-ish years ago, where just a lot of personal stuff.
Like that was COVID.
Yeah,
was that COVID or right after COVID?
It was probably still in the early stages of COVID, so like a year-ish later. But there was a lot of personal stuff that was going on with some like recent trauma and toxic relationships that I was going through in my personal life. There was a lot of crazy toxic stuff that was going on at work. And I just got to a point where I didn't really know what to do. And it felt like I was shouldering all of this myself and unable to really figure out how to work through it. So I was going to weekly therapy for probably 2.5 years and unpacking, what I was going through in the current moment, a lot of stuff that I had gone through as a kid with divorced parents when I was in high school. One of my best friends, unfortunately committing suicide my senior year of high school, and some other stuff where just a lot of things that I had never really unpacked before.
Good Lord, man.
Yeah. And
Really?
I think by way of, going to therapy for as long as I have, it just gave me a space to unpack a lot of those things and figure out why I do things the way that I do, because of the things that I've had to experience in, my past life. And I think to bring it back to the current day, it really just allowed me to focus more on what I personally can control, which is very few things in the grand scheme of what I'm working through, either at work or at home, and really focusing on the controllables and not thinking that every work thing, or quarter number that I'm trying to hit is a, life or death scenario. And granted, I'm super competitive because I played hockey my entire life. Like I want to win, but I've learned that you can't win no matter how hard you try every single time. And I think for me, it's focusing on my own effort and how I react to things. And by going to therapy, like I now have that perspective, and I didn't have that perspective 4.5 years ago.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that if you're listening and you've ever thought about whether or not you need it, you probably do. I think being raised by baby boomer parents, it's not something that is talked about that regularly, depending on where you were raised, right? And it was never something that was discussed, at least on my side of my family. And it was only till later, after graduating college and going through stuff, that I decided that I needed to do it. However, one thing that I tried to do was buy some books to try to help me with, because really what therapy does is it gives you tools. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to get all these books, I'm going to read them. And the reality is that you have to do it. Yeah, you have to do it.
All those books that I haven't read. Yeah.
So if you're giving somebody advice on where to start, and they've thought about that they needed it, where did they start? Because for me, I'll give you a little bit of context. It took me a while to find the right person, because if you go Google therapy, usually it tends to be religious based, and I didn't want that. It took me a good year to find somebody that actually I thought could help me.
So you basically stole what I was going to suggest, which is don't just go and see the first therapist that comes up in Google search results and assume that that's who you have to go with. It didn't take me a year, but it probably took a couple different sessions, maybe like 2 to 3 sessions with, I think, somewhere in the range of 4 to 5 different therapists. And then I started to figure out, who can I see myself, meeting with and opening up to and working through a lot of these things. And once I found that right person, it was a perfect fit. And I couldn't imagine going to therapy really with anybody but that person. And I didn't know that, it was okay to go find the right therapist and go meet with a bunch of people. Like I thought you just had to pick one, and whoever you picked is it.
If you meet with 2 or 3 people and it still doesn't work out, do not stop trying.
No.
What I did was I'm lucky that one of my best friends from college, he works in a local hospital here with addiction counseling. So he had a good network of people that I could talk to about certain things. So I was lucky that the 4th or 5th person was the one he referred me, and it's been somebody that I've gone back to. I need to do it. I haven't done it as regularly, and I have one tonight, which is great. But I encourage anybody listening that has ever thought about it to go try it, and don't stop trying it until you find somebody that you sync with, and usually you'll know in the first session.
Oh yeah. And I think for me, stigma is definitely the right word for this sort of thing, and mental health and whatnot. But I think for the longest time, there was a stigma around going to therapy, and that it meant that something was wrong with you. And that's couldn't be further from the truth. Like, just because you go to therapy doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It's, you're trying to find tools to work through stress and situations and work and personal stuff and whatnot. And I can confidently say I would not be where I am today, like personally and professionally, if it weren't for the amount of work that I put in doing that.
So you mentioned, I think you said you have a best friend that committed.
One of my, let's say, core, like 5 friends in our high school friend group, unfortunately, took his own life about a week before we were all going away to different colleges for our freshman year of college.
I want to get into celebrating him as a person, but was there any signs or like reasoning behind it at all?
No, and I think it's one of those things that, you know, by way of going to therapy, I can talk through all of this now because I've unpacked it. But I think for all of us, you know, the first thought that you default to is, you know, what could I have done or what could I have done differently? And you tend to beat yourself up over something that you'll never be able to change because it happened. And I think for all of us, we spent a lot of time figuring out, you know, where did we go wrong? And there really weren't any warning signs. Like, truthfully, I think if you were to talk to any of my friends, they would say the same thing. But it was a huge shock and surprise. And really the first, you know, outside of my parents getting divorced when I was younger, like that was a big turning point in my life that has shaped who I am in a lot of different ways.
Well, tell me about him.
He was Phil is his name. He's the best. So he was the guy, everybody has this guy at high school. I would almost equate him to like Ferris Bueller, truthfully. Like, he was so tight with every single clique in high school that if the principal of our high school ever wanted to know what was going on internally at the high school that we all went to, he would have been the best guy because he just had this personality about himself where he made everybody feel welcome. He gave everybody the time of day. He was kind of a chameleon in that he could mold himself and how he showed up to the jocks, which were all of my friends between football and soccer and basketball, the skaters, the dorky kids in science class, the cheerleaders, like everybody just kind of was gravitated towards him. And some of my funniest childhood memories and whatnot are, I'm already thinking of hilarious things that he did. He was pretty tall, which is funny for me to say this, for his age. So he was like 6'2", maybe 6'1", 6'2", and all of us, I'm like 5'9.5". You can imagine how short we were at that age. Yeah. But he would do this thing in the old like Dodge Caravan minivans where he would sit in the middle. And our poor moms that would drive us around in Park Ridge, he would grab both handles on the side, and he was big enough where he could shake the minivan.
The van?
And the moms would be like, "Phil, what are you doing?" And he's like, I'm like just trying to get under their skin. Amazing.
That's hilarious. So how did that experience shape your worldview? I mean, I can't imagine.
Yeah, I think for us, it was, you know, the first moment where you kind of realize that life is way too short and there's a lot of things that happen that you feel like you don't deserve. And that is, I'd say, one of the more extreme examples. But I think for us, we realized like college was never going to be his thing, although he was going to college. And I think if you really had to unpack why this might have happened, like I think maybe he didn't fit the traditional kind of mold of, you know, college student. Maybe he would have been better off for the trades, but there was some sort of identity crisis. And I think why I bring this up is that age is such a pivotal point in any person's life. And it's your formative years. And there's just so much that you are going through for the first time that you don't know how to work through. And for us, we raised a decent chunk of money from people who just wanted to donate to a foundation for him. And we had to figure out, what do we do with this? How do we do something about it in a way that he would be proud of and we would be proud of? So for the first couple years after he had passed, we actually found a former NFL player who had gone through some really traumatic stuff and lost a child to suicide. And he bottomed out after that, but he was able to turn his life around completely. And he was a speaker. This was 2008 to 2010 or 11 timeframe, where he would come speak to high school kids who are just at that point where there's a whole new world that they don't know anything about. They might be scared of, they don't know how to work through these things. And he would tell his story and just share that, hey, it is okay to say you're not feeling well or to ask for help or to talk about your feelings. And we always said, for the amount of money that it costs to do it, and it wasn't a crazy amount of money, but if it saved, one student's life, like it paid for itself 10 times over. And we would be there for these presentations, and kids would come up to us afterwards and just say how thankful they were for hearing about a lot of this stuff that wasn't talked about then in 2008. And it feels like it's, more talked about now. And it was really cool to honor him in that way and do something that combined mental health with, he loved football. He was a soccer player growing up, and then the gym teacher. This is a funny story. I'm jumping around. My high school is one of the high schools in the state of Illinois that always has like an amazing football program. And he hated football. He never wanted to play football, and he was really good at soccer. And the varsity football coach was walking past the field one time and saw this 6'2" skinny giraffe just launch a soccer ball. And he said, "We need a kicker. I got to have you on the team." So
I knew it. I knew that was good.
And then combining that with mental health and doing something cool in his honor for kids that are at a very pivotal moment in their life is an awesome memory from a not so great situation to have to go through.
Yeah, man. I think what's so interesting about loss or experiencing loss is maintaining some level of remembrance, right? Like, I've been lucky that I haven't experienced that much loss in my life yet. And my Aunt Wendy passed in 2021. And I've found that as the years go by, it's been harder for me to remember, right? Mm-hmm. Or not necessarily like this concept of, I want to remember the stories and the situations, but just remembering the importance of that person. Mm-hmm. And so a question is, how do you remember him? Mm-hmm. And because we're going on since it happened, like how long has it been? It's been a while.
Oh man, that would have been 17 years ago at this point.
So how do you think about that in terms of like, I have to remind myself constantly. And I think it's a good tool to use when you're dealing with shit, frankly. But like, how do you think about that?
So I have two answers. The first answer is not one that I've probably ever told like anyone that I work with, let alone on a podcast. So Phil left a t-shirt at my house. I saw him the night before it happened, and I thought that I was going to see him the next day or the next week, but he accidentally left a t-shirt from the college that he was going to be going to by complete accident, or who knows, maybe we'll never know. And I have that t-shirt, and for the last 17 years, it is something that hangs up in my closet, and I've brought it with me to every college dorm room and apartment, to every place that I've lived at in the city. And it's always just hanging there of just kind of a cool little remembrance. So I see that, almost daily. And then I'd say for the other thought that came to mind, I just remember the things that made him who he was personality wise. And whenever there are tough moments that I'm going through, or times where the qualities that he had are the qualities that I'm looking for, or kind of need to find myself, I kind of just remember, what would Phil do? Like, what would he do in this moment? And I think it causes me to de-stress, as crazy as that is to say in the moment, because I'm remembering the good things and qualities of a close friend. And I think for me, I just remember all of the cool things and moments that we've missed him from over the last 17 years, but also how proud he would be of all of us for working through it and what we've accomplished and how we still miss him to this day. So yeah, what would Phil do comes up my mind a fair amount.
WWPD, we need to make some bracelets.
We do.
Okay, so we'll end on it. Oh, thank you for sharing that. Seriously, it's a beautiful thing to share. And the t-shirt thing, that is a great story. Seriously, like that, there's no other way around that. But okay, so as life gets hectic, this is the last question. I think I know the answer to this, but maybe not. What's your favorite escape or hobby? And it can't be hockey, because we already talked about it.
What do you think the answer is?
I thought it was hockey. That's why I said don't say it.
So I would say, I mean, I can't say hockey. Hockey's a great escape, but I only get to do it once a week. So it's not something that you can like really do whenever you.
Is it running? Exercise?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say lately it's been exercise. And I think the other thing that I really love to do, I'd probably blow your mind if I told you how often I walk and how long I walk. I just go on walks all the time in like after hours and walk around because I'm in downtown Chicago and River North. I walk to the lake.
Wait. Like what are we talking? Are we talking like how many steps?
I mean, I'll go for like 5, 6, 7 mile walks like it's no big deal and just walk around the city.
Yeah. That's hilarious. How often do you do that?
Pretty often, like almost daily.
Does your fiance come with you?
She knows that it's just like my place to like de-stress. She also doesn't like walking, which,
Okay. Well,
I mean, she doesn't like going on Ironman walks. Like I like to go on myself. But I think for me, you probably do the same thing when you're working out or trying to get away from work. Whenever I feel like I'm stuck, almost all of my best ideas come when this thing is closed and I'm out.
And I don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Like I love the fact that people go work out together. That is not me. I'm not like I'll do it if I'm at an event and if you and I were at an event and we wanted to go on a run, I would go on a run with you. But if people are like, yeah, let's go on a run, let's go weekly. I'm like, nah, I'm not interested.
No.
That's my time. I don't need to talk. I talk to people all day long. I don't need to talk to more people. I just want to go run.
I love it. Yeah. Walking in the summer and when it's nice out. And then it kind of sucks when it gets cold out in Chicago because then I can't really go on long walks.
It sucks in general in the winter in Chicago. So either way, whether you can walk or not. All right. Mark, thank you for joining us on this episode of the Revenue Diaries. If people want to come shoot you a note, chat with you, where should they go?
LinkedIn is probably the best spot.
Got it. You don't have any, no like X shadow X, you know?
I can't believe that I'm saying this.
Hockey.
I lurk on X and I don't post and I find, let's talk about this for a sec. I find do you follow salespeople on X?
I don't. I did. I got rid of it. I could not. It was just too much.
There's like this trend recently of these burner accounts where people posting or just post stuff anonymously where it's not tied to their name and it's usually salespeople and it's the Wild West right now. So I kind of get enjoyment out of lurking.
Wait. What? Okay, we only have a few minutes, but what are they posting? Like, give me an example.
I can't believe I'm saying this out loud on a podcast. The first one that comes to mind is the first two are Pipeline Poppy, who is one of them. And then there's another Fidel instead of Castro, it's Cash Flow. And then they just talk about what they're doing as, enterprise AEs or SDRs and how they're booking meetings and all this stuff. So it's pretty hilarious.
Is it entertaining?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, none of it is helpful, truthfully, but I lurk. And then
Pipeline Poppy.
Yeah.
If you are listening and you're Pipeline Poppy,
it's not my account.
Let us know.
Yes. But no, it's a dark place.
That's hilarious. All right, Mark, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This was great.